Okay, I know this isn't my like normal thing that I show, and it's not even really the normal thing that I do, but you can tell I've made this. This took me about 4 hours to put together, including all of the drawing. I have one photo that I'll also post along. I'll post that has to do with this, but this is a dresser. This was just a first run at an idea. Now, one of the things you can see here is I've got a curve here. This is, if you don't know what this is called, it's a waterfall front. It was a pretty common design feature in a lot of Art Deco furniture. And I'm trying to work out the maths. And I thought, well, since I know I already want to do a dresser with this style of feet with the same sort of thing going on, and you can see I've added the little backsplash here. It's crooked, mostly because you can see on either end here it's crooked, mostly because my measurements were a little bit off. But this was, again, I was just using like paper, just like a heavyweight paper, not an 80-pound, like a 50-pound, maybe a 60, but not an 80-pound paper. And these aren't, I'm not sure these are glued in quite right yet. And you can see I've made some kind of rookie mistakes here with making the facing of the drawers a little too thin on one level. Now you can see I've done some lines here. These lines here have to do with the curve. Now, if you know anything about me, I don't do math. And for years, when I've needed to put a curve on something, or curve something, I'll just use a lid. If I can't put my hands on my compass and I just need something really quick, this is fine. Sometimes it's other things like, a glue stick, this kind of thing. It depends on what I need. But for this one, I decided to use, I have this little hand punch that does corners. And I made a small and a medium. I think I kept the little template over here because I guess I didn't keep the little template. Oh, there it is. Yeah, it's just the back. And you can see I just wrote template on this. This was the large one and the medium one. I went with the large one because and I just like the look of it. Actually, I think it looks the best. It's an angle, or it's a curve, but it's not like too shallow. So part of what I wanted to do is figure out where the top starts. So you go from straight curve into this. And I think I figured it out with doing some eyeballing of like, where does the curve technically stop? Where does the curve technically stop? And then did a little measuring, and I kind of figured it out. I know there's some math in there that I'm not doing. Remember, total math anxieties. But I'll figure it out. I went ahead, let me pull these out. These were, I use this as an excuse to test. I really don't like using the gray board. And I'm going to pull out a hunk of gray board right here. This is the gray board that I have been using. And this is 3mm gray board. I'd like something that's closer to 1.5 millimeters to 2 millimeter gray board. So about a third less than this. So I just used some things I had on hand, some old cartons that I had, and cut them up. These went together pretty quickly. I reinforced these because, like I said, this was just a mildly heavyweight paper. And then you can see in here, I did some kind of dopey things. First of all, I need to make sure that when I'm doing something like this, that the support board underneath is flush with this top piece so it doesn't, it sits, but so it doesn't like come in and go or so there's not an angle. But I was just, this, like I said, this was just a quick thing to throw together to see if my sketches, my beautiful, beautiful sketches, which I did today. I had a haircut very early this morning, and my husband and I went out. He was at a local coffee shop, so there were, I think this was the original sketch I put together. And I still think I need to change some things around. You know, that's the waterfall front, where that begins. And it has to do with the top being measured across, and then the distance between where the curve starts and the curve starts here. That'll help me estimate how much longer I need to make this, or how much shorter I need to make it. So yeah, those are my fabulous sketches. I also figured out that the element that I was drawing over and over again, I think I drew one in here, like for the bed, that kind of thing there. What I was really shooting for, after I did some research last night, was more of an inlaid, I don't want to say parquet work, because I'm not sure, I know what the word is, for when you're working in veneers, but I have, somehow my brain just can't find it right now. And in some of the pieces it was like this, so you can see where this is squared off, and you can kind of see where my brain was going with that, what it was reminding me of. So I think what I want to do with this then is use this. Let me turn this way, because that's just bugging me. Use this to kind of do those ends of the beds, and then perhaps on something like this. I was also seeing like some nautical themes. There was I want to make a little chair for a piece, and I'm doing like, I was sketching out like little scallopy edges. This is a seat, this would be a wraparound, but this would be, I think, a little too standy uppy, a little too Bauhaus, and I want something that needs to move a little bit more. And even looking at this needs to go more like this. So the chair leg and the back are kind of, so you can see there's a difference in how I'm putting them together. I've already kind of figured out how I want to put this one together, but I need to do some more measuring and figure out some things, and then I can go on. But you can see this kind of, I like this kind of seashell, kind of like a kind of thing, and I can see that like maybe added in. So it won't so much be artwork, but I'll be very carefully choosing the pieces of wood, and when they're laid in, they'll be laid in a very specific manner, but it'll all be wood with like tiny little elements of like seashell or metal, because in the research I was doing, that's what I was really discovering. Also discovering that there's a ton of different kinds of Art Deco. I always knew I liked Art Deco. I never made much of a study of it though. So that was just my first little kind of jump into that. And one of the reasons for this is because I want to redesign this piece, because I love this piece, but there's a part of me that's like, I cannot, there were some things about it that weren't quite right. And again, I just closed my sketchbook. So what I'm going to be doing is doing a redesign with the waterfall front for here, and then these two elements are going to come closer together, because the ones, again, my beautiful sketches, are more like this, where the waterfall is kind of almost intruding a little bit onto the mirror. I downloaded some photographs of pieces so I can look at, and you can see the type of chair that I want to do is like a little half circle-y kind of thing. So that's kind of what I'm aiming at. That's the little, that will be the little chair that goes here. So with this one then, these would go closer together. This might come up a little bit, and I'm going to be probably chopping almost, these will be a little thinner too, chopping almost a third of this off to make it work. Now, this was another one of the Pool designs, Poul. And like I said, I love the piece, and I think I did an okay redesign on it, but it can be better. It can be, I don't want to say it can be better, it can be more what I want, if that means anything. So that's what I'm going to be working on. Tomorrow I'm going to go ahead and yeah, see, this is just paper glued down. This is not built to last. This is just proof of concept. It will work. Tomorrow I'm probably going to build another one of these, because I now know I've got way more room up here. And I'm probably going to try making one a little smaller, something that's a little bit more. I kind of float around between, I'm in the 1/12, 1 to 12, 1 inch to 12, or 1 inch equals 12 inches kind of ratio. So I think that with these, I'd probably make them a little smaller, move them in. And I'm going to be using some things when it comes to the curves that I learned in creating, again, another French illustrator who did foldable paper toys, Le Hidan. I can upload some of his paper toys, which are the animal ones, are the ones that I absolutely adore. I made the elephant one of that one, and the way in which he creates the curves and puts the tabs in, because these don't have tabs right now. It was a really small curve, and I just didn't feel like there was enough there, so I kind of backed it up with some board underneath it. So yeah, that's what I'm working on. And again, one of the reasons I really I love making these, but I like being able to design these on computer, so then I can have almost endless versions of them, and then just print them, cut them out, and put them together, and it's done. Print it out, cut it out, put it together. And it's got what is it my husband calls, it's got the piece, it has a longer life to it, kind of thing, because it's not just the singular piece. There's always more that I can do and change and mess around with, and that's just how my brain works. So this video is getting a little long, but you can kind of see where I'm going, hopefully. I may even post some pictures of some of the furniture that I'm looking at, including some of the chairs and some of the design, so you can kind of see what I'm looking at. I've also pulled all of the SVG files for the children's bedroom furniture, so I can get to making some of those, which I kind of like having a couple of different things going at once, because if I run into a brick wall here in one thing, I can come over and do something over here and think about things and then go, oh, that's how I'll do it, and then I can go back and fix it. So yeah, that's what I'm doing. So thank you, patrons, for sticking with me, and I will see you in the next video.